How did a company that once fed half of America on any given day become the face of everything people now refuse to accept? Last quarter alone, McDonald's shuttered over 100 locations across the United States, not because of expansion plans, but because people simply stopped coming. Whole neighborhoods have watched the lights go out at their local McDonald's, not from protests, not from politics, but from pure abandonment. Something broke, not just the ice cream machine. The food feels off, the prices feel wrong, the entire experience feels like a relic that no longer belongs. The fall of McDonald's isn't just about taste or money. It's about trust, anger, and a growing wave of Americans who finally said, "I'm done." And this time they mean it. If you've ever stared at that glowing menu board and thought this used to feel different, you're not imagining it. Keep watching, because the truth behind why so many people are turning their backs on McDonald's is darker, dirtier, and far more disturbing than you think. Number 1. Food safety nightmares. For decades, grabbing a quick bite at McDonald's meant convenience without a second thought. But lately, more and more Americans are asking themselves, is this food even safe to eat? Across the country, unsettling reports have been stacking up. Photos show pink meat in chicken sandwiches with the center still cold to the touch. TikTok videos expose mystery textures in beef patties. Even former employees have gone online to warn people, if you saw how it's made, you wouldn't touch it. In some locations, health inspections have revealed things most people wouldn't believe unless they saw it with their own eyes. One New York McDonald's was cited for moldy food storage grease buildup so thick it was dripping onto food trays and expired sauces being reused. In Chicago, a viral video showed a worker pulling out lettuce from a container swarming with fruit flies. No gloves, no throwaway. It went straight onto a burger. The response from corporate: silence, deflection, or worse, pretending nothing happened. What's even more disturbing is how consistent these complaints have become. From California to Pennsylvania, people are describing the same thing. Lukewarm burgers. Weird smells, mushy chicken lettuce that looks weeks old. These aren't isolated incidents. This is systemic neglect. And yet people still keep going, because they trust the brand, or at least they used to. Now imagine you're a senior on a fixed income. You treat yourself to a McDouble and some fries, hoping for a cheap, familiar comfort. But instead, you end up spending the night in the bathroom, or worse, the ER. No one should have to play food roulette with a global brand this big. The worst part: most of these issues aren't caused by ingredients. They're caused by how food is stored, handled, and served. Poor training. No oversight. Staff being rushed through shifts with no time to clean, no time to double-check, no time to care. And when the public calls it out, the system shrugs. So here we are. A brand that built itself on speed and convenience is now cutting corners in ways that put real people at risk. And the cracks are showing. We're not even into the food poisoning statistics yet. That's coming next. Now let's talk about onions. Not just any onions, the ones pre-sliced, pre-packed, and preloaded into millions of McDonald's burgers across the country. In a recent outbreak that shook multiple states, those thinly sliced yellow onions used in quarter pounders were linked to a nationwide E. coli contamination. At least 104 people were infected. 34 ended up in the hospital. 1 died. And it wasn't some fringe supply chain either. It came from one of McDonald's primary vegetable suppliers. A brand name most locations use every single day. The recall was massive but not fast. Several shipments had already reached stores by the time authorities acted. The onions had been sitting in unrefrigerated storage bins and transport trucks without consistent temperature control. Some were even exposed to cross-contamination during prep, where raw meat and raw vegetables shared prep surfaces. Health departments in at least 8 states issued consumer alerts, but not everyone got the memo. Parents fed those burgers to their kids. Seniors on limited diets ordered their usual meals, never suspecting anything might be wrong. No warning at the counter, no signage at the drive-thru. Just business as usual until people started getting sick. And McDonald's. They quietly replaced the onions, issued a brief statement about supplier safety reviews, and moved on. No accountability, no compensation, no retraining campaign for staff, just a hope that the headlines would disappear. But the headlines didn't disappear. In fact, they snowballed. Consumer watchdog groups began publishing long reports about McDonald's ongoing food safety issues, citing poor internal audits, rushed food handling, and weak enforcement at the franchise level. One report noted that McDonald's had repeatedly failed to enforce its own cleanliness standards, allowing stores to pass inspections with outdated tools and incomplete logs. Some locations reportedly falsified temperature records for weeks serving food that had sat out well beyond safe limits. Even worse, the pressure on employees only makes things worse. When you've got 3 people running a kitchen during peak hours and corporate expects 0 mistakes, something's going to slip. And in food service, when something slips, people get hurt. This isn't just about one incident. It's a pattern. A pattern of neglect, of silence, of choosing speed over safety and image over impact. When fast food starts sending people to the hospital, or worse, the morgue, that's not an accident. That's failure. A failure of leadership, a failure of responsibility, and a failure to protect the very people they built their empire on. And it's not going unnoticed anymore. From social media to newsrooms to the FDA's own databases, complaints about McDonald's food quality have surged in the past 12 months. Not minor stuff, not picky preferences, but serious, dangerous lapses, raw meat, expired toppings, allergens not disclosed, and yes, cross-contamination of vegetables with bacteria that can shut down a person's kidneys. Food isn't supposed to be a gamble. You shouldn't have to second-guess the lettuce in your sandwich, or wonder if the onions might land you in the ER. But this is where we are now. A brand that once stood for consistency can't even promise safety. So the next time someone says, "Oh, it's just fast food," maybe remind them that just can cost you more than a few dollars. It can cost your health, it can cost your peace of mind, and in some heartbreaking cases, it can cost a life. That's the real price no one puts on the menu. Number 2, prices up, quality down. You walk and order your usual and swipe your card, but something feels off. The total flashes across the screen and it hits you that same meal used to cost half as much. And then the food arrives. Smaller, colder, and somehow worse. Welcome to the new McDonald's. In just the past 2 years, the average price of a McDonald's combo meal in the US has jumped by over 30%. In cities like Los Angeles and New York, a Big Mac meal can now push past $15. $15 for a burger, fries, and soda, and that's before taxes. But the price tag is only half the problem. What used to feel like a decent meal deal now feels like getting scammed in broad daylight. Portion sizes have shrunk. Meat patties are thinner. Fries feel like they've been sitting for hours. And customers are noticing. On Reddit, one thread with over 10,000 upvotes shows side-by-side photos of the same order from 4 years apart. The difference is shocking. Less lettuce, smaller buns, cheese that barely covers the patty. And that's not nostalgia talking, it's shrinkflation, plain and simple. Even longtime McDonald's fans are speaking up. They're not asking for gourmet, they just want what they paid for. But instead, they're getting less food for more money with quality that no longer feels dependable. And let's not ignore the delivery debacle. McDonald's has pushed hard into app orders and delivery services, but that convenience comes at a steep cost. Markups on delivery platforms like DoorDash and Uber Eats can push a basic meal to over $20 after fees. And by the time it gets to your door, the fries are soggy, the burger is lukewarm, and the soda flat. Customers don't feel like they're paying for food anymore. They feel like they're paying for disappointment over and over again. But it goes deeper. Many of these price hikes have been quietly rolled out. No announcements, no transparency. Just a slow creep until people started speaking up. And instead of taking responsibility, McDonald's has deflected, blaming inflation, supply chain issues, or even changing customer expectations. That's not accountability. That's passing the buck. And when customers question the rising prices, they're met with automated responses or app coupons that don't actually save much. It's not a solution, it's a distraction. A digital band-aid on a broken promise. Let's talk about breakfast. Egg McMuffins used to be one of the most affordable items on the menu. Now, in some locations, you'll pay nearly $6 for one sandwich. And don't expect the eggs to be fresh. Many stores have switched to frozen, pre-cooked patties that get microwaved just before serving. The result? A rubbery texture that falls apart halfway through your first bite. It's not just inflation, it's degradation. Even the coffee, once a surprising highlight, has lost its spark. People report it tasting burnt bitter or bland. Some say it's watered down. Others think it's been sitting too long. Either way, it's another piece of the puzzle that no longer fits. And all this is happening while McDonald's reports billions in profit. That's the part that stings. People aren't frustrated because they expect luxury. They're frustrated because what used to be a reliable, affordable option now feels like a brand that forgot who it's serving. And when a company forgets that, especially one as big as McDonald's, trust breaks. Slowly, then all at once. You can't charge more and give less, not without people noticing. And guess what? People have noticed. The lines are shorter, the buzz is gone, and while the ads still look shiny, the food no longer backs it up. That's not just poor value, that's betrayal. Number 3, customers left behind. For decades, McDonald's claimed to be a place for everyone, a spot where families, truckers, night shift workers, and seniors could all count on one thing: being welcome, served, and treated like they mattered. Not anymore. These days, walking into a McDonald's can feel less like a familiar routine and more like stepping into a cold, impersonal vending station. Touchscreen kiosks have replaced most of the human interaction. Cashiers barely look up. Tables sit dirty for hours. And don't even think about asking for help with an app coupon that won't scan. Good luck finding a manager who's not buried in drive-through chaos. McDonald's has pushed hard into automation, but not to improve the customer experience. It's been about cost-cutting. Fewer staff, more machines, less accountability, and the ones who feel it the most: elderly customers, people with disabilities, anyone without a smartphone, and working folks who just want a hot meal without tech headaches. You used to walk and place your order and be eating in 5 minutes. Now you're tapping on greasy screens that glitch out mid-order, or waiting for 10 minutes while one stressed-out worker runs the entire kitchen. And if your order is wrong, tough luck. Staff are trained to keep things moving, not fix mistakes. This shift isn't just inconvenient, it's dehumanizing. For older Americans, especially those living on fixed incomes, McDonald's used to be one of the few places that felt safe, affordable, and consistent. Now they walk in and feel invisible, priced out by rising costs, ignored by staff, and frustrated by systems that don't work for them. It's not just about how the food tastes. It's about how the place makes people feel. And right now, that feeling is unwanted. The company has also leaned heavily into app-exclusive deals, pushing customers to download, sign up, and navigate a clunky digital system just to save $1 or $2. But those deals come at a cost. Many people, especially older adults or those without reliable phones, get left out entirely. Imagine being told the price on the menu only applies if you sign into an app, scan a code, and link your bank account. That's not accessibility, that's exclusion, and it's driving people away. Then there's the issue of inconsistency. Order the same meal in 2 different towns and you'll likely get 2 completely different experiences. Some locations overcook everything, others serve it half frozen. Some keep their dining rooms spotless, others smell like burnt oil and sadness. And McDonald's does little to fix it. The corporate line is always the same. We're listening to feedback, but nothing changes. People are tired of being listened to without ever being heard. Even loyal customers, folks who grew up on Happy Meals and remember when the dollar menu was real, are walking away. Not because they're too picky, but because they're tired of being treated like background noise in a brand that once promised more. And let's not forget rural communities. In many small towns, McDonald's is one of the only fast food options available. Yet, those same locations are often the most underfunded, understaffed, and overlooked. Broken soda machines, no ice cream, out-of-order kiosks, and drive-thrus that take 20 minutes for a single burger. That's not service, that's neglect. When a brand grows this big, it has a responsibility to serve not just food, but respect. And right now, that respect feels missing. Customers don't want miracles. They just want to feel seen, heard, valued. But when everything from ordering to eating feels like a fight, people give up. They stop showing up. They stop caring. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. The golden arches still shine, but inside, the warmth is gone. Number 4, inhumane treatment of workers. Behind every burger, fry, and coffee cup at McDonald's stands a worker, often young, underpaid, and under pressure. And what used to be seen as a stepping stone job has become something much darker, a symbol of how little a giant corporation can care for the people making it rich. At many McDonald's locations across the U.S., working conditions are no longer just tough, they're abusive. Reports have surfaced of employees being denied basic rights on the job, not extras, not perks, basics. Things like restroom breaks, drinking water, air conditioning during heat waves. Some employees, especially those in hot kitchens or handling drive-through orders during peak hours, have described working in environments that felt unbearable, not difficult, unsafe. In one recent complaint filed in Texas, workers claimed they were not allowed to leave their stations even when the indoor temperature hit triple digits. No fans, no cold water, no shift rotations, just sweat exhaustion and silence from management. At another location in Ohio, workers reported being locked in during overnight shifts, unable to leave for breaks or emergencies, unless a manager decided to unlock the door. In a world post-COVID, this kind of treatment isn't just shocking, it's dangerous. Then there's the pay. Despite McDonald's earning billions in profit, many of its frontline workers are still making wages that haven't kept up with the cost of living. A 16-year-old making $9 an hour is one thing, but when a single mom working 40 hours a week can't afford rent or groceries, that's not a job, that's corporate failure. And before anyone says, but it's just fast food, remember, fast food is one of the biggest employers in America. McDonald's alone employs hundreds of thousands. It sets the tone, and the tone it's been setting lately. Cold, harsh, and indifferent. Let's talk about harassment. According to multiple lawsuits and employee testimonies, McDonald's has a pattern of ignoring or even enabling workplace abuse. In Michigan, a group of nearly 100 female workers accused managers of sexual harassment, intimidation, and retaliation. In California, underage employees said they were scheduled for illegal hours without breaks and exposed to verbal abuse daily. When these workers tried to speak out, many were ignored. Some were punished. A few were fired. This isn't just happening at one or two rogue franchises. The sheer number of similar reports from coast to coast shows a systemic problem. And while corporate McDonald's often responds with the same canned line about franchise independence, the brand still controls the policies, the standards, the tools, and the silence. No worker should be afraid to speak up about abuse. No teenager should be forced to work alone at night. No employee should have to choose between their paycheck and their health. But that's the twisted choice many McDonald's workers face every single week. And when people see these stories, the public responds. Customers don't want to support a brand that squeezes every drop of labor from someone just trying to survive. They don't want to buy burgers cooked by someone who hasn't had a break in 5 hours. They don't want to eat food made in a kitchen where workers feel scared, silenced, and unseen. Because at the end of the day, a brand is only as strong as how it treats its people. And McDonald's, a company once known for smiling faces and simple jobs, is losing that strength. It's not just customers walking away anymore. Workers are walking too. High turnover, burnout, short-staffed kitchens, delayed orders, all symptoms of a deeper rot. And when the foundation cracks, the whole thing shakes. Number 5, deceptive marketing. If there's one thing McDonald's has mastered, it's advertising. Bright colors, perfect photos, catchy slogans, it all looks flawless. But peel back the glossy image, and what customers get often feels like smoke and mirrors. Start with the food itself. The ads show thick, juicy burgers stacked high with fresh lettuce, plump tomatoes, and melted cheese that drips down the side. But open the box in real life, and what you often find is a squash sandwich with pale toppings and cheese that looks like plastic film. Entire Reddit threads are dedicated to comparing expectation versus reality, and the difference isn't small, it's staggering. People aren't just disappointed, they feel tricked. Then there are the value deals. For years, McDonald's hooked people with dollar menus and combo discounts. Now those deals come with a catch. Many promotions are locked behind the McDonald's app, which means customers have to hand over data, set up accounts, and share payment info just to unlock a so-called bargain. And when they do, that $5 bundle might turn out to be a tiny burger and the smallest portion of fries, leaving customers wondering if the savings were ever real. This bait-and-switch strategy has become a running joke online, but for many older or low-income Americans, it's not funny. It feels like being excluded. People who don't use smartphones or don't want to hand over data are forced to pay full price, often double, for the exact same meal. That's not value. That's manipulation. And let's not forget the seasonal campaigns. McDonald's rolls out flashy, limited-time items every year, special shakes, celebrity meals, or nostalgic throwbacks. The marketing is loud. The rollout is everywhere, but supply almost never matches demand. Customers wait in line only to hear, "Sorry, we're out." The buzz fades into irritation, and the promise of something special turns into frustration. Yet corporate keeps repeating the cycle because the hype drives clicks, even if the experience drives people away. Even coffee has been caught in the web of deceptive marketing. McDonald's promotes its McCafe line as premium roasted highlighting beans, supposedly crafted to rival coffee chains. But countless reviews describe bitter, burnt-tasting brews served lukewarm. Some customers even suspect watered-down pots being stretched too long during busy hours. It's not premium. It's penny-pinching disguised as luxury. What makes all of this worse is the contrast between image and reality. McDonald's knows its brand runs on nostalgia and trust. Families still remember seeing smiling kids in Happy Meal commercials. Adults remember jingles that promised simple joys. The company leans heavily on that memory in its ads. But when the food and service don't match the promise, it doesn't just feel like false advertising. It feels like betrayal, and people are tired of it. You can see it in the comment sections of YouTube reviews, in long threads on consumer forums, and in news coverage of customer backlash. Americans aren't only angry at what's in the bag, they're angry at being treated like they won't notice the difference. Because they do notice. They notice when prices go up while the product shrinks. They notice when a deal is just smoke and mirrors. They notice when the burger on the poster looks nothing like the burger in their hand. McDonald's may still spend millions on polished commercials, but real people are talking louder now. And what they're saying is simple: stop lying to us. For a company that built its empire on trust and repetition, losing credibility is the one thing it can't afford. Yet every misleading ad, every empty promotion, every disappointing meal chips away at what little trust remains. And once that trust is gone, no marketing budget in the world can buy it back. McDonald's downfall isn't one single mistake. It's the sum of every cut corner, every broken promise, and every betrayal of trust. Unsafe food, higher prices, customers pushed aside, workers mistreated, marketing that looks more like a scam than an invitation. Piece by piece, the brand is chipped away at the loyalty that once made it untouchable. For millions of Americans, especially those living on tight budgets, McDonald's used to mean a quick, reliable meal. Now it means frustration, disappointment, and even risk. The golden arches still shine on the outside, but inside the cracks are impossible to ignore. And here's the harsh truth: when a company this big shows so little care for the people who built it, people walk away. They stop showing up, they stop believing. This isn't just the end of cheap burgers. It's the collapse of an image that no longer matches reality. So the next time you drive by those arches, ask yourself, is it still worth stopping? Because for millions of Americans, the answer is already clear.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.